What's up, everybody? I hope you're all doing well on this lovely Sunday. What's up, everybody? And we're finally here. I think it's quite official that I call Africa on Focus right now the lockdown specials, because even for us at the studio, it's a state where we can't locate the studio as of yet. We are taking our measures until we can finally change things at the studio. But of course, the show has to go on. And today is a special edition, actually. My name is MS.ABA, and I'm your host. I join you every Sunday from wherever you are to talk about what's going on in Africa. And normally I am alongside my co-host, Donnie, to talk about a few things about business and entrepreneurship, not even that, but also everything surrounding this COVID-19. Anyway, this is coming to you live from Amsterdam, my home this time around, on High Radio, the voice of the next generation. Just a little bit over 8 p.m. and we are going to start a special segment today, Women About Business. It's finally that time. And myself, alongside my co-host, Kimberly Ofori, or let's say my co-guest, co-host, everything in between. And she is going to talk to me about Women About Business, about how this concept came alive. But first things first, will you? You can also listen to this radio show on the High Radio website, www.highradionnl.com. Again, www.highradionnl.com. Please bear with us. We have to be a bit flexible today because we are, airing from our homes. So, but we managed to do it. And my name is MS.ABA. We are going to talk about women about business. And in some few seconds, I'll be bringing in my co-host, Kimberly Ofori, to come and have a chat with us about what's going on. In the meantime, please reshare and spread the word on your timeline, because everybody should come along and take some bits of this. And hopefully within the coming hour, we will do our best to, let's say, stuff everything within one session to be able to talk to you about Women About Business. Let's do this, shall we? And let me get how are you doing, Kimberly?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. We're finally here, right?
We made it.
We finally made it. Absolutely. We've been promoting and we've been recording. We've been
making so much noise.
Exactly.
People have been hitting me up on my WhatsApp and email and all the other social mess. They're like, you are going at it.
Yeah.
I'm not joking this time. And for people who know me, they know that is the opposite of what I used to do. I was low-key, undercover. I was on social media, but people would forget that I even had a Facebook page or anything like that, because I was just low-key, that person who was always scrolling in the background, never commenting, never liking, and God, no, never posting anything. And now, this is a new season. It's a new day. We're doing some amazing things. And I'm speaking about women, Black women, white women, Asian women, women all around the world, but especially in the diaspora. And it's time for us to, share those stories and help each other out and grow together. So I am super excited about this.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear that, people might not see this as the Kimberly they know, but you're getting out of that comfort zone to make things happen. So that's something that, especially women entrepreneurs could draw inspiration from. So it's like good things. It's only a good story.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I love that. Absolutely. Well, good to see you again on this lovely Sunday, which marks the first Sunday of the month. Yay.
Yes.
Thank God. I don't know how to celebrate that, whether I should buy a cake or I don't know exactly, but
thank God for listen. this weight gain game that has been happening in my house, yeah, I don't want to see no more cake, no more sweets.
I know, I know. Lockdown has been crazy, crazy real. And I know probably for your work it's quite being indoors and doing your work, it's not that different for you, is it?
Yeah, so for me as a scale up consultant and well, consulting in general, it's something that you preferably do face to
Yeah.
face, but it's not a necessity, especially not in these instances. It's a very quick and easy kind of switch to go over to video conferencing.
Yeah.
And if to be real, it's usually the first or the second meeting that is face to face, and after that, you're primarily keeping touching base on the phone or
Yeah.
via email. So this is not something very much. It's not such a big deal, but
Yeah.
then everything around it. So looking at going and coming to the office, the things that you do in
Yeah.
between for closing from work, the grocery store, maybe meeting up with people, friends,
Yeah.
having the opportunity to go and meet somebody elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you really feel the restriction.
Yeah, definitely. So tell me, have you aggressively been purchasing toilet paper as well?
So I am still doing my research on why in the world that was the first thing people thought about
Yeah.
when the world was gonna come to an end. Like everybody was like, the first thing I need, the last thing I'm going to need is toilet paper. I'm still
Yeah.
doing my research, and I'll get back to you with my results. I don't know.
So you haven't been buying toilet paper in this case.
But why though? Like, if you're dead, what are you going to do with all of that toilet paper? Feed
Exactly.
yourself. Get some groceries in the house.
Yeah.
Get you some essentials for your survival. Why are you
Yeah.
buying? What are you buying toilet paper for? In bulk. Anyway.
Exactly. And then you had people fighting over their stacks and things. It went crazy. I think Corona showed the worst of us.
It did. But you know what? I think, everybody has kind of come to a point where we're now getting back to a stage where we're kind of normalizing our routines
Yeah.
the way that they were before with a little bit of adjustment.
Hmm.
And, fear does a lot to people.
Yeah, it does.
And you really saw that happening as the media was just, there was so much misinformation, especially in the social media age. It's very hard if you are not spending time to filter out the content that comes to you,
Yeah.
to know what is real and what's not. And it's very easy to get carried away with the fear message that was being set out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I see things gradually here in the Netherlands though, getting back. Of course, where surprise could take us anywhere. I think the whole virus took us by surprise.
It did.
And then we have to get back to business. That's why we're here.
I was about to say, well, it didn't really get us by surprise, but I'm going to leave that for another
Oh,
topic.
that's another discussion on its own. I know. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. So, in the meantime, for those of you who just tuned in, this is a special segment on High Radio called Women About Business. Myself and our scale up consultant extraordinaire, Kimberly Ofori, we are going to talk about different topics that relate to a lot of us women out there. Our special, industrious African women, and also for the men who are in business that like to support, women could come in and listen. I guess that would be it. So feel free to share it on your timelines, spread the word, invite everybody to come in, and also let us know where you are listening from. It would be super cool to have an idea of wherever you are in the world, so that we could share some love and talk some more about a business today. So Kimberly, I don't know if because the promo has been running on, people have liked it, people have reshared it so much, where we explain what Women About Business is about.
Yeah.
Could you give us a brief idea on why we're here?
So Women About Business is was born out of the idea that together we can do better, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, especially when it comes to female entrepreneurship, there's more attention for it now, and there's more opportunity for us now. But at the same time, we're still very much lacking behind when it comes to seeing role models in mainstream media and having
Yeah.
our stories shared and understanding the individual journeys that we have gone through to get to where we are going as female
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. Also, taking into account all of the people who are trying to get ahead in this entrepreneurship game, trying to get ahead with their business and not seeing themselves, not seeing other women doing the same. So
Yeah.
you always have this, if you do see something in the mainstream media, it's either a very elderly person who it took 25 years to get to a certain place, or it's somebody who just happened to have a specific talent. If you're very
Yeah.
technical and you created an app that blew up, that's an amazing story, but it's not going to be a
Yeah.
realistic story for most of us. I
Mm-hmm.
know that I will probably not have that story. I'm not an engineer,
Yeah.
I'm
Tech
STEM.
lady.
So as much as I love tech, I know that for me, my story is probably not going to be the blowing up of an app that is now going to have millions of subscribers just
Yeah.
because I figured out something cool. Most of us really have genuine business ideas, trying to solve problems in our communities,
Yeah.
or tapping into our talents, and we are not able to see other women going through that journey,
Yeah.
and then tapping into that and learning from each other. So Women
Yeah.
About Business is really all about that. It's about sharing the stories of other female entrepreneurs like you. So realistically, pragmatically, what is the deal? Like, what did you go through? What are the steps that you took? And how am
Mhm.
I able to get ahead in the situation that I am in today?
Very much so. And one thing I really love about all of this is that because the last time we had you on the show, we had you as a special guest on Africa on Focus before, to talk about what you do in general and things like that. And one thing I really loved is that you had like several examples of the faults or the things that we often women do, whereby it doesn't allow us to take the opportunity for us to get to our next step because we end up being a bit too timid, or we end up being not outspoken enough, and so forth and so forth. And you had so many examples from your own line of work to share that it was just like, okay, you just knew the familiar story. And one thing I want to know from you, because I think that's what makes the story so interesting, is how did you get to the topic of women within your line of work and your consulting?
Interesting question. So it wasn't a deliberate move. I think I gradually grew into um, trying to understand more why there weren't more women like me
Yeah.
out there. And then I
Hmm.
realized that there were more women like me, but their stories were not being told. So unless
Hmm.
you are really actively looking to get into, specific entrepreneurship groups and things like that, you're
Yeah.
not going to know. And so that is one aspect. And the second one was, if I look at my line of work, working with scale ups are rapidly growing companies who are in our terms at scale up company. We define a
Ooh.
scale up as a company that has over 1 million euros in revenue.
Yeah.
On average, 10 people in staff at minimum, and certain other aspects that qualify you to be a scale up. And what happens is that in the time that I have worked with these scale ups, I've only had 2% of them being female-led companies, which
Yeah.
is of course not representative of the entire country, but it is
Hmm.
a very interesting statistic because we have helped over 1,000 companies. And
Yeah.
so that is something that triggered me to do more research on where are these female entrepreneurs? Because they are doing great things. They're out there, but they're for some reason not jumping over that what we call the valley of death situation, where it's either
Value
you
that.
grow rapidly or you get caught up with the growth being too much. And so most of the time, businesses that don't have a steady management team system in place, so an operational system in place, they don't make it to that 1 million. So they either just stay the way they are and they're kind of always around 500K in revenue sort of thing, and they're there, or they don't survive simply because they are trying to get somewhere and they're not able to get there and then give up. And so, and a lot of those businesses were female-led businesses that were either not making it or staying small. And that's when I realized that with all the examples that I was even giving these businesses, these were based on male entrepreneurs sharing their stories, male businessmen sharing what they did. And so it's just the entire environment or the climate is not very, it doesn't include, it's not very inclusive to the unique problems that female entrepreneurs are going to face. And this is why I said that, okay, if there's something that I can do, it's at least bring this thing to light in the little impact that it might have. If I can help 1 or 2 business women reach that 1 million euros this year, then my work here is done.
That's a lot of money.
Well,
that's a lot of money.
Actually, not a lot of money, but I think that's another topic.
That's another topic. Yeah, we should take that one into our other editions that are coming out. So we're finally here and we're talking about women about business. I believe the conversation is going to continue so much as this is a reoccurring segment. Every month is going to come back and we will be inviting plenty of people, interesting people, to come and have a chat with us on this show. So we have a topic today. Care to share?
Boy, do we have a topic today, and we have a guest today. So our topic for today is, and I love this one, is how to discover your X factor and then turn it into your business. Or use it for your business, however you would like to interpret it. And when I thought about this topic, I thought long and hard about what I wanted the first episode to be about. And then I realized that there's this kind of entrepreneurial journey that we actually all go through, right? First, you are, and I want to line that out for us, actually. So in my opinion and in my experience and what I've seen in the journeys that are around me is that you start from this point of realization that you want more. Start from this part of this realization that there's something else out there that you would like to tap into. And so I call that the discovery space. And so the X factor discovery really taps into that. It's when you realize that there's something that you could be tapping into, but you just can't figure out what, or maybe you do know what your X factor is, but you don't know how to apply it in a way that it could become your business or it could be leveraged for your business. And so the journey that, and I think every segment I'll tap into the next stages. But after that, we get into the mindset stage, which is moving from discovery to mindset. What is your mindset going to be about this? You could choose to leave it the way it is, or you could start tuning into how you would like to accomplish this. How do you do that? How do you set your mind to that goal? How do you set your mind to want to achieve those things? So I thought about who I could speak to about this. And I said, there are so many amazing women that I know around me. But one of the things that I love about you, because you're my guest, is that is that you have been able to find your unique voice within, I feel, a very crowded environment, which is in the branding and communication space.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of people who claim to be, branding experts, communication specialists. And for you, I think the first time that I saw content that came from you, you just sprung out. The way you presented yourself, your
Mm-hmm.
the topics that you just, that's what I wanted to say. You're authentic, and your
Mm-hmm.
authenticity shows. And so
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, yeah, girl, I just wanted to know from you, like, for real, take some notes. Like, how did you get to this space? Were you always like that? Did you grow into it? And
Yeah.
how did you apply that to really say, okay, I'm going to start a business? So that is what we're going to be talking about today.
How to discover your X factor. Oof. Even when
Yeah.
I hear that, it's like it's such a difficult topic because I remember like years ago when I wanted to like find a job and stuff, I had to like seriously think about what makes me unique. And it was so difficult. It was so difficult. And I think that is in general something that I really needed help as in terms of realizing what my X factor was. But before before we get into that, um, so first things first. So for people that might not know me or anything, or just ran into me, I am a radio personality here on High Radio, but I'm also an entrepreneur. I have my business in branding and consulting, and I've been doing that for quite some time. And one thing that I just absolutely love about everything is that most importantly, I love brands. So everything that, has to do with brands, from entertainment to arts or to music, because that is my thing. I just work around it and I work after it. So that is really what I love. And to get back to, how do you find your X factor? What a journey. Gosh. And thank you for the compliment. Also, also talk about that I stood out and all of these like, heartwarming things that you shared. I think most importantly, what kind of pushed me into, knowing what my thing is, what my flair is, and all of that. What also helped me was the type of friends that I was around. That really helped
Ooh.
me. Because one thing that I did, I was kind of, always the lady that was kind of grown for her age. I look big. That was one. And
Mm,
my friends always tell me I have an old soul. That is also another thing. So I ended up hanging out with people that would be at least maybe 2 or 3 years older than me, to even 10 years older than I was.
right.
Simply because if I came up walking into the scene, people wouldn't easily ask my age because I looked huge. You know what I mean? Like, and also I was more drawn to like older people to kind of know what life is like. It's something that Ghanaians don't always see it as a positive thing. They say it in our language. They say "peninsem," which is like you just like what old people do, and you just like to take it and add flair to it just because it's kind of
Ah,
that type of descriptive word. But for me, it was not really that. And what happened was one of my friends, shout out to Audrey Afari, by the way, whose her birthday is today. And
happy birthday.
what she did to me,
I look huge. You know what I mean? It's like,
what she did back in the day was
it
that
was not really
she signed me up for a pageant, and it's super random. Because at one point she was like, you know what, you should sign up for this. You should do a pageant because this will really, spark your confidence. This is going to do something to what you do. And I was like, pageant? I'm not even a pageant lady, or I don't dance all the time, or the traditional. I was like, no, but she signed me up anyway. This was back in 2009. And what I did was she signed me up for Face of Ghana, which is a pageant, the Ghana pageant at the time. And that experience seriously helped me develop my talent and my skill, and also helped me to understand the good things that I mastered, such as
Right.
speaking, such as being creative, such as thinking in terms of team efforts and things like that. So that was actually the start of where I understood whoever that I am is the best when I am doing it for my culture, my,
Mm,
where I come from Ghanaians, my heritage. That is where I best develop myself. So that
mm.
was really the start of the journey of finding the X factor.
Right, right. Interesting. So, but, and I'm going to come back to this, what you just said about discovering your X factor, because I'm keen to find out how you knew this was
Mhm.
the thing. But you mentioned something earlier in your introduction, and that was that you carefully looked at who you surrounded yourself with as, or who you considered your friends.
Yeah,
Can
definitely.
you, can you tell us a little bit more about this? Because that's the juice.
Yeah, the thing is with selecting your friends, especially if you are in your early 20s, you're not really conscious of carefully selecting friends, because you're in that spontaneous, period. You are just hanging out with who you can hang out. You are connecting with who you can best connect, and you do that on a spontaneous level. That's really what you
Right.
do. But on in my space, I hung out with my older sister. She's 6 years older than I am, but we're like the best of friends. And coming around her friend group and things really brought me into like a sort of around women that I really wanted to be like, as in terms of educational focus was really strong. They really wanted to graduate in something and become experts in something, and that type of grind was really what attracted me, you know what I mean, where it really pushed me to, okay, this is somewhere really the type of women that I want to become like, or really want to be around. And I
Mm,
realized once that really made me happy, I had to search more for those type of females around me. So you had a lot of females that had ideas of starting a business at that time, which was about 2009-ish, 2010, was pretty much a period whereby more of young Ghanaians residing in the diaspora were kind of looking back, not just to party and things like that, but maybe start something, or maybe connect and network and do something,
right.
for Ghana. So that type of environment really started to attract me, and I felt it also was necessary at that time. That was for another reason, but back to selecting the type of environment that you are with. I think I really started to focus on the type of person that I wanted to be within 5 and 10 years, and I could
Mm,
relate the type of person that I was around, people that I was around with. One that could talk to me about finances, one that could talk to me about maybe investing somewhere, or saving after graduating,
mm,
really considering the time to maybe working abroad, um, maybe saving up to be like, okay, if I graduate 1 year, I'm going to do an internship here to, broaden my knowledge on a specific area. I had that type of environment, which I was thinking back really happy to have, because they helped me to think in terms of opportunity, taking risk, going for it and doing things with a goal, and also having fun while doing it.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. I think, and a lot of people need to hear this,
Hmm.
because if you are consciously living in a space where you're looking for improvement all the time, you've probably already heard this before.
Hmm.
There are different variants of this saying, but they say that. Well, if we're going to the Bible, the Bible says something about the type of people you
Yeah.
surround yourself with. Show me who
Yeah.
your friends are, show you who you are. But
Yeah.
then also, we're talking about um, you can only get as far as the five people that you surround yourself with.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then there's another one that I personally like the most, and that is your net worth is only as much as the value that the five closest people around you bring to the table. And
Oh,
so
that's really deep. I haven't heard that one
that
yet.
one just, and it's not, they say it in a better way, and I'm going to look it up to say it accurately, but I'm paraphrasing. This is what really struck me to my core, understanding that from a financial aspect, this matters a lot, not just because you're trying to be rich or that you're only trying to be around rich people, but what it says is this: if you are able to connect with people who are a little bit more ahead of you, who are a little bit more stable financially than you, because of the conscious decisions that they have made in their life. It's not like you're using them to get ahead, but you are able to tap into their network. So that is network with a T, in order to get to the network, because to the net worth. Because now what you're doing is you're positioning yourself to get to be in the same environments that they are. So they're moving in spaces in politics. They're moving in spaces in business that you would naturally not be able to have access to.
Yeah.
And now, because you are friends with this person, again, you're not using them, but because naturally that is the environment that they find themselves in, you will be able to find yourself in environments like this. And you will also be able to get ahead once you get closer to people who are going for these goals.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that those were that you actually confirmed that is that as something that is, even if you're not consciously doing it, because of that it has so much effect on the choices that you make and the knowledge that you have and the things that you understand. Okay, so what I wanted to know from you then is, at what age or in what stage of your life did you figure out, okay, I'm really good at this? And how were you able to translate it into something that was, first of all, had a name? So, okay, branding or PR or communication. And then how did you decide you want to do more than that? And just knowing it, you wanted to do something with it.
Yeah. Interesting question. Let me think. In the meantime, while I take seconds to think, shout out to Sylvia Kendi, who just tuned in and who's saying, you know what? She says, love it. And also Thompson Tutu, who's saying good work. Shout out to you. Ohene, I could see you tuning in. He's the producer extraordinaire who made the promo video. So he's just absolutely amazing. And also Aaron, who's saying, wow, super. That's my music producer from London. Thank you so much for tuning in. And also Gary, who's saying good evening, MS.ABA. Especially for you, Gary. I have my glass of water. You know, last time he asked me why you always
came on our Instagram live and was like, why you always sipping on water?
Especially for Gary, I have a glass of water. Water. It's good for the body. And in the meantime, we're discussing Women About Business. Please let us know where you're listening from. And also, if you have a question, if you have a comment or something to share, are you an entrepreneur, women entrepreneur, and you care to give your 2 cents, feel free to drop a comment so that, you know, we can also talk about what you are suggesting and laying down here and there. So back to your question, Kimberly. When was finally that point where I got to discover what I was good at, and if it had a name, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, so it took a while. If I just think back, it would probably be around 21, 22. Well, basically what I did, I kind of figured out, okay, I want to do something with business. So at that period, you know, it was my place where I could decide what type of study I wanted to do. I was finally at that, in Dutch, we say hogeschool level. In international terms, it would be university level, where I was finally there after much struggle and hard work. I'm like, yay, I'm finally here and I am going to do a business course. until I had the course that was more of like a math one, and it was called quantitative research. And when I did that course, I had back pains, neck pains, all of it together. And and that was basically because not just because of anything, but I knew that, dealing with numbers, as in a sense where I can't use my calculator for formulas that look like, Hebrew writing, it just wasn't for me. And then another
Mm.
course came on, logistics, and I was like, no, 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 this is not me. But I knew I wanted to do business, something international. And I knew that I enjoyed writing. I wanted to do something in magazine terms or whatever. So I talked
Right.
to my mentor at the time, and based on what I really wanted to do, what I had discovered bit by bit, I like to do was that, okay, let's go and do communications. So after I talked to him about it, the mentor, in case I decided to, switch to the course of communications and do that, because I knew that something with magazine, it had to do with that. But it
Right.
wasn't the name or the word PR, the word branding it wasn't developed. I had no idea that was even, it for me. So I took on the course, and I discovered I was good with graphics. I was good with what's it called, presenting. I was good at the time. I had also started, as a presenter, so I was at events and, with music and things. So I knew the creative thing had started. And after I graduated, I remember one of my classmates says, he said, you know what, you should just do presenting and do your music and you'll be good. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, so I don't know yet. And at the time I still had a part-time job that I was keeping to, get the money in, which is also very good to know as an entrepreneur. You have to do something that keeps the
Come on now.
money, the money coming in. And yeah, at some point, you graduate, you become a communications graduate, but even communications on its own is really broad. And I had not defined myself as I did up until the moment that I had somebody giving me feedback.
Mm.
I remember one of my internships where I enrolled at. That was Ghetto Radio slash This Is Africa, which was like a Pan African international platform. And I remember the owner saying, he said, you know what? When you just realize who you are, you're just going to be so great. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
keep doing what you do for Africa,
Right.
and that type of thing. So I knew, and then looking back at the type of internship I had taken on, the type of projects I had taken on, I just realized it had to do a lot with Africa. It had a lot to do with entertainment. It had a lot to do with music. It had a lot to do with development online. Somewhere there. And
Right.
at some point later, after I got my first job in communication, which I had to take on as a project. So I had to really sign on as a business, which I hadn't done before. I then realized, okay, I have to sit down and talk to people, talk to
Mm.
mentors, because at that time I had taken on some mentors through networking that I could really talk to, and hearing them talk about what they found good about me, I was able to draw some of the keywords that I'm in right now, my sister is also really good with that. She was like, oh yeah, if you do something with Africa, if you present and if you brand this and blah blah, she also helped me get some keywords to connect the dots and say, okay, this is really what I'm about. So I think what really helps is when you are going through your journey, that you have somebody that helps you reflect, and
Right.
you hear people's observation. It will really
Mm.
help you to kind of look at what you are really good at, which industry, which field, which specialty, and all of that. Because finding your X factor is like, you have to go like from the outside looking in. If you're like,
Mm.
if you're like constantly focused on you won't be able to grasp it as much, and you won't find the richness of the words that will
Why
be
is that?
inside.
Why is that approach important?
um that approach is important because, first of all, it includes people's observation of you, which is like the now. If you have the good coaches and the good people around you, it will also include people's observation of what's ahead of you. Some people
Mm,
really have that type of, some coaches out there, or people that have been in a particular industry for a long time, they're able to direct, people into their right place and be like, okay, you're good at this, but you just focus on this market and you'll be good. You know what I mean? Some people have that ability. I don't know what to call it, because some CEOs have it, some coaches have it, some corporate people have it, some entrepreneurs have it. They're able to kind of like see you as to where you're going. And the
right.
reason why it's like it's necessary, I think I would draw it back to fashion. I think like you have these people that you talk to and they're always stylish. You have their friends telling them, oh, you've got style, but they recognize where they can see their potential when they actually have experts looking
Right.
at their craft, and because it's able to direct them in the right way.
Mhm.
And if you're just focused on the work itself, you won't be able to connect with your potential, your future, and your specific market, which also describes your X factor in a way, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. This is so interesting because I think a lot of the times when we are, um, I think one of the hurdles that I've personally seen a lot of women give up
Mm-hmm.
at is the fact that they can't pinpoint what exactly they should call their talent or their specific
Yeah.
um, expertise, and that is therefore it's probably not that relevant, or it's probably not that good. And what
Yeah.
I'm hearing from you is that that's actually a journey. You don't need to know exactly, how you're going to call it or what it
Yeah.
is. But what you can know is that you have something that is going for you, that other people can help you fill in the gaps later on
Yeah.
with their point of view and their expertise. And then you combine it. And then as you grow into the doing your research on what exactly it is that you want, you'll start
Mm-hmm.
having those light bulb moments like, wait a minute, this is, this is my X factor. This is, I'm a communications specialist. I'm a branding
Yeah.
expert. I am, and that's, and because we hang on so tightly and we have been socialized to do so. So I'm not blaming anyone, but we're hanging on so tightly to
Yeah.
title, right? A title needs to say something. And I think there is so much more power and strength and um, attraction to just being authentic in what you
Yeah.
think you're sharing and what you think you're good at. And if that's not a sexy title, it's not a sexy title, but
Yeah.
it's something that is going to work for you because that's where you stand in your strength.
Yeah.
And usually that works out for people. Once you find out exactly what it is that you are good at, it doesn't really matter if other people can't immediately imagine what it is that you do.
Yeah.
It's like what you explained the other time when people ask us, so what is it that you do again? Like, okay, so do you go to an office? Like,
Oh yeah.
because people's imagination is only as limited as what they've been exposed to.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen anybody thriving, doing different things, being a
Yeah.
radio show host, being a presenter, being an MC, being a speaker, being a communication specialist, being an artist,
Yeah.
then you are not going to be able to wrap your mind around it. You're going to want to put that person in a box and say, hey,
Yeah.
what is it exactly that you do? Give me one word.
Yeah.
Because I don't get it. And I think we do that to ourselves far too often. And so we don't
Yeah.
even get the opportunity to have other people share with us how they think we could excel in what we're doing. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Okay, so
Exactly.
I have a quick fact or fib thing that I want to do with you. And I'm calling it a fact or fib thing because it's our first episode and I didn't figure out how I want to call this piece part of the segment. So
Right.
the fifth thing is I'm going to ask you a few random questions. You can only answer yes or no. Fact or fib. And you cannot elaborate until later. So
Okay.
don't try to explain why you're saying yes to fact or fib. Just say it, even if you're doubting. And the thing is, don't think about it. You need to, the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. Question number one. Entrepreneurs are born.
Fact.
Entrepreneurship can be learned.
Facts.
Entrepreneurship is only for those who are talented.
Fab.
Okay, and the last question. Female entrepreneurs have different problems.
Fact.
Interesting. So I intentionally did the first and the second one back to back because it kind of feels like you're saying something different to the first question, which is you're either born an entrepreneur or you can learn to be one. You said fact to both. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I think that, there are a couple of things that you can learn from entrepreneur. I think it's even a course in some high level educational
bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship now.
Entrepreneurship, yeah. So once I realized that, I realized like, hey, it's like some type of, it's not that it's a skill you can just study, but it's offered as in like, when you have this, you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? But at the same time, even though this type of a course like that is offered, what you realize is that the true entrepreneurs are actually people that have the heart for it, and it especially like covers the bit where it's that taking of a risk and being able to hang on, when people are calling you crazy, and I really feel like that is something that because it's in the heart, or how I would call it, it's in an attitude, it's a type of lifestyle. I don't think that everybody who learns what entrepreneurship is necessarily has that. Yeah. So what you realize, and a lot of projects that I've been on as a communication specialist, I also deal with the bit of talking to entrepreneurs, because I also help them pitch, their idea and things. And I have been on a couple of programs whereby sometimes when you look at a group of people in year one, and you then reflect and look at their journey in let's say year 3 or 5, you realize that it's a lot of people that have the idea, they have the idea, and they've probably set it in place. They've written it down somewhere. They have participated in a couple of what's it called, acceleration programs or investors programs and stuff like that. But the real people that are actually at it, that breathe it, that can't sleep unless they start something and finish it, are like maybe 3 or 4 of 10 people, that I see. So sometimes it makes me sit down and wonder, like, what is the difference, between the people that are really working at it? And it's simply because you have a lot of, or in my observation is that you have a lot of people who have ideas and whatever, but that true heart that, takes them through staying up at night and everything. it's yeah, I feel I haven't researched it. I think I would have to talk. We should get a psychologist at the show to talk, but it's really it's really the ones the ones who have the heart that really do it and stay in it regardless. Yeah.
I think, and you really hit the nail on that one. I believe that we should probably be differentiating, or we should probably dissect what being an entrepreneur is,
Yeah.
and also then looking at acknowledging that there are
Hmm.
entrepreneurial skills that you can possess without having to be an entrepreneur. And I know
Yeah.
that there's this whole thing movement going on now with people saying, "Oh, you can be an entrepreneur, so be an entrepreneur in your business, in your company,"
Okay.
which is anyway. And I think that's I think that's great.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that is definitely very fitting for the new business climate that we are in, that we have been moving towards, I think, for the past decade, where we are expecting people to, where people actually, millennials, want more autonomy in their work, and therefore they need to have these entrepreneurial skills where they are able to, do a little bit of self-management, have a little bit of
Hmm.
leadership skills. So those are skills that you can improve on by taking a course, by going
Yeah.
to a workshop. I think a true entrepreneur, though, um, has possesses certain skills that probably cannot so easily be taught in a school bench. Like
Hmm.
you said, where do you get that resilience from when you keep getting punched in the head?
Yeah.
When people keep saying no to you? When you keep failing business
Hmm.
after business after business, but you know that there's something out there that you are supposed to be doing, so you keep
Yeah.
starting again and again and again. I don't think that's something that you can be taught. It's either in you, it's either
Yeah.
been born and bred and grown inside of you as you grew up, or it
Yeah.
isn't. So that's interesting, but that's probably, and we have so many things to cover. We only have so much time.
Yeah.
So that, we're definitely going to touch on that, because a lot of people, I think, are doubting, who am I to say that I'm an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Those are sometimes the people that actually would be great entrepreneurs if they
Yeah.
could get over that hurdle of self-doubt or looking down
Hmm.
on themselves. And then there are other people who are all over the place calling themselves entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Personally, I have a problem with people who say they're the CEO of their one-man business.
Okay.
How are you?
CEO word is too
How are
heavy.
you the chief of yourself? I don't understand how you can be the chief executive of nobody else's executive team. So there's nobody else there. You
Hmm.
are the owner, you're the business owner, you are the entrepreneur, you are
Hmm.
the inventor, you are the innovator. You
Hmm.
cannot be the CEO. Who are you leading?
Right.
Anyway, that was just, I had to get that out of the way. So and then there was this other question that I just want to quickly touch on, when you said
Yeah.
women have different problems in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. You
Yeah.
said that is a fact. Why did you say that?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Um so I was part of a panel at a place where I performed at called She's Got the Power.
Mm,
And this was actually a group of feminists. So, you had maybe to some people extreme women that, had gone through extreme experiences. I really had to fight the expectation that was often laid on them within their respective working fields.
right.
And I remember one lady, she's a politician, and I think on one interview, she came on not wearing any makeup or something like that. And the comments right exactly was, oh, didn't she even think of, putting some gloss on, coming on this show? And she was
Ah,
thinking like, what does this even have to do with what I am bringing, And it was a valid question that she asked. Oftentimes, because, when women come somewhere, we are often, required, quote unquote, required to look the best,
mm,
because of people's expectations. So they were given examples of, the expectations that people were having. So
right.
back to entrepreneurship. I think was it a research last time that women are most likely to um, complete a business deal when they look when they look a certain way and, even have a straightened hair, stuff like that.
Yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes. These
And
are
for me,
yes.
in business terms, or let's just say in political terms, it is absolutely unfair, that somebody's looks could, make the difference. But
Mm,
because of the fact that I'm also a brand specialist, people that are brand specialists like to use definition to twist things to their advantage, So from
woo,
a branding perspective, we rather look at things like that as an opportunities, we as brand people, we say, well, if it works for you to wear a pink shirt, for you to get the deal done and laugh extra harder, then that is what you can do. You know what I mean?
right.
So for me, it looked like, and I saw it as an opportunity, but at the same time, I realized that women entrepreneurs have some of the battles surrounding really the core business that actually don't have to do with the business, you know? Um,
Right.
the
So we
looks,
have,
the flair, all of these added things that women can at the same time use to their benefit is often also used against us. So we have
mm,
to like fight that battle next to the actual business deal sometimes.
my goodness. No, you really brought it. You really touched on something. And it's so true. It is so true. I think that when you have to compare the hurdles that you have to overcome as a woman before you get taken seriously in that boardroom,
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling sometimes.
absolutely.
You grow up already experiencing it a little bit when you're
Yeah,
in school and you are like maybe appointed the leader of a group or you volunteer to be the leader for a project.
yeah,
And then you see that sort of kind of behavior between your male counterparts, or even sometimes the teacher giving you extra tips on things you didn't ask them to tip you about, that
yeah,
have nothing to do with the content you're about to share, but have to do with, oh, you should wear this or make sure to tie your. I remember very vividly,
yeah.
one teacher telling me, you should probably not wear braids
Oh,
when you do that presentation. Do
oh
that hair
wow.
you did the other time, the straight one. And I believe this was maybe going to high school. And so maybe my first year in high
Oh,
school, and I was shook, because I really didn't understand then why that mattered, because I had worked so hard in making sure that my presentation was good, that the content was good. And
yeah,
now somebody here who is a professional, who's an authority, who's also going to be judging me, is telling me, well, also work on your look, you know.
yeah. That's
And
not
so
good.
I can bet on it. I don't have the facts, but I can bet on it that
Mhm.
none of my male my male
They don't.
co-student peers were told to wear their hair differently when they were
No.
doing the presentation. So this is so true, and I think there's so many other examples. For instance, if you're going into a boardroom and being asked, even though they know that you're the one presenting or you have a role in the meeting, being
Yeah,
asked if you could pour drinks for other people, that is a very, very, I mean, some men will not understand this, but that sets the tone for the entire meeting. Believe
yeah.
me, if
It
you are the one going in, pouring the drinks, you are going to be the one pouring drinks, serving cookies, making sure everybody's comfortable, checking the air condition, the entire meeting, because now
yeah,
you've taken on the executive role of the assistant. And so there's nobody in there who's going to understand that more than you, if you are not
exactly.
pointing it out. So one thing that we do at Scale Up Company, and I love that, and I don't even think that it wasn't shared with me as a policy, but what I saw these men do when we went to meetings with directors and CEOs, and we went
Yeah,
to into boardrooms, or we went into those meetings, what they did is that if they said, if everybody had a seat, the
yeah,
male colleague who was with me would always be the first to offer, can I offer somebody something to drink?
Okay.
The one thing. So they were getting out of the way the awkward moment of the men looking at me saying, can we get something to drink?
Yeah.
Because that's what usually happens. They look at the woman and say, oh, you probably know your way around the kitchen. So
That is so rude.
every time I've had it so many times, and I think a lot of women will know this and agree. And then the second option is sometimes we forget we're talking, and then it comes up, and someone's like, "Oh, I would like something to drink," or "Kimberly, can I have something to drink?" Because usually, I have never been in a meeting where that question was directed to my male counterpart, and so they would say, "Oh, Kimberly, could we have something to drink?" And then by agreement, I don't know if it was ever agreed by scale up company, but the male always gets up and say, I will get the drink, what would you like to drink? I am never
Okay.
the one to pour the drink, because they understand that once I take on that role, I am no longer taken seriously.
Yeah. That's a good one. So you actually have men joining in and collaborating with that,
And
making
it's
sure
important
the
that
nonsense stops.
exactly, it's important that men are the ones speaking up, or actually setting out these examples,
Yeah.
because a lot of the times, especially now with social media being out there, women are now being portrayed as being too sensitive or making too much noise about these things.
Yeah.
But if we want to see progress in on this matter, on this topic, we need men and women
Hmm.
to come together, join forces, and make sure that we change the climate and the environment that women have to be operational in, because we can't have these added challenges of not getting investment because we're women, not having the same opportunities for meetings and pitches, and the
Yeah.
list goes on, and then also have to deal with the fact that we are not pouring the drinks. It's crazy.
But these are the things that sometimes us women we are really blind to, and we don't realize that this is happening around us. Once we allow it to happen, it insults us in some way. Not just insults it, but it then sets the bar for people to then give you tasks like you are the office manager. Let me just
Right.
let me just put it that way.
And there's no disrespect to office managers, because if that is your role, then you are, that's a unique skill. And I think I respect office managers so much because they juggle so many things at the same time, and their execution
Yeah.
is really excellent. But if
Yeah.
you are in a position where you are now leading a meeting, then you should be respected as such. And you
Hmm.
shouldn't be expected to take on, the responsibility of everybody's refreshment.
Yeah.
It's fine. It would have been fine if I would have still be seen and
Yeah.
taken seriously,
Yeah.
but that's usually not the case.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really good one. And I'll keep that in mind. Listen, from now on, when that moment comes, that awkward silence, as in like, who's gonna touch the bottle of water? You know what I mean?
I don't. I'll pour a drink for myself. I have a seat. If
Yeah.
they look at me for another one, I point them to the right direction. If they ask me to pour it, I'm not gonna. And so, first of all, I'm not gonna start a fight. If you are
Yeah.
asking me and it's just you and me, there's no other person, I'm fine with that. But it's about understanding the environment that you are in. So, of
Yeah.
course, I'm fine with pouring drinks for people. That's not the problem. But if we
Mm.
are sitting with 5 men and 1 woman, and I am being asked to pour the drinks, there's problems.
Got it. Got it. So in the meantime, for those of you who tune in, we are talking actually women about business. I think the name alone says it all. Here is where every month myself and Kimberly Ofori, we talk about women in business. What can we do to make sure that we are valued in our rightful way? And if you are listening on Facebook, make sure that you spread the word wherever you are listening from. Also, let us know where you are listening from, because I always like it when somebody says, you know what, I'm tuning in from Jamaica and all of those interesting places. Shout out to MS.ABA. MS.ABA, you are like a diehard fan. She always tunes into the high radio shows. She
Wow.
engages wherever you are. I know you're in Ghana now. Let us know how it's going from there. And thank you so much also for tuning in. Evan, Evan is like my unofficial manager. He says true. He totally recognizes what you are saying. Thank you so much for tuning in from the city of Lagos and listening to this show. Once again, we are talking about women about business, especially we African women. We're so industrious, where we've got so much potential to actually make interesting businesses work, but once we understand the industry that we're in, how we're looked at, and if we are able to, let's just say, work with it wisely, we are able to create more opportunities for ourselves. And that is why this program is about. We're a bit over time, and I hope, Kimberly, we could just take about like 5 extra minutes to also talk some more. And for those of you who have questions, remarks, shout outs, make sure that you spread them in the comment box because we would really like to hear from you. Again, also shout out to Gary Mensa, my colleague, the Y Zone show master, who also tuned in. Shout out to you for making time to also listen to Women About Business. Yeah, so Kimberly, that is I think that pouring of the drink is such an interesting one. I think there are more things. I think it also has to do with, when you enter into meetings, um, in some cultures it is considered to listen fully to the person who is talking, and in some cultures you're actually participating only when you're asking many questions and giving remarks. You know what I mean? I think for me also is a lot, because I deal with different cultures, that the Dutch culture, and then having to deal with the Ghanaian culture and those things. Sometimes switching between the two is an interesting work. I think that's also an area where, we women should be aware of, as to.
You said that is a fact. Why did you say
that? Sorry.
Sorry. My computer had its own opinion about where
No, got it. So that, it works for all of that. And I think that before we even go into our topics later on, and we invite guests on the show, I think this is a real good start to talk about, where do you discover, or how do you discover your X factor? Um, and for me, it's definitely been whereby mentors have played a serious role into helping me discover what my X factor is. And also, allowing, I think that I had a period where I was really scared of feedback, but I think that everybody should use feedback as a way to shape themselves, and have the right people giving you feedback throughout your journey, so that you could grow and develop yourself accordingly. It really helps, because once you know your X factor, you will be able to know your market, your specific industry, your specific touch point, your mission. You won't, give up easily once you've been laid off from some type of job, which I've also gone through, been laid off, been let go. You know what I mean? And it's not within the vision board of a young lady graduating from uni, but it is the reality of life. But once you know your X factor, wait a minute, I am here because I help people do this and this and this and that. So put me in company A, I'll be doing that. Put me in company B, I'll be doing that. And one of the reason I'm probably let go from this is because I wouldn't be able to have blossomed in the way that I could. It gives you a sense of peace as well.
It does. It does. And I think you touched on a very important point, and that is, what we said earlier. It's about resilience. It's about understanding who you are, and it's about knowing that you are uniquely you, And so whatever feedback you're getting, whatever things that people are going to be sharing with you, sometimes, for me personally, I think getting feedback, initially is scary for a lot of people because we were kind of conditioned, especially in school, that if you get feedback, it's usually negative, or
Mm-hmm.
and it's more often than not very constructive.
Yeah.
And so now we have all of these teachers getting courses on how to give feedback. But, back in the day, it was like, you're not smart enough, you're not doing well, or, why you write like, I remember my handwriting was a problem to one of my teachers, so much
Oh,
so every day she would let me stay over and try to change my handwriting because she was so annoyed by the way I wrote. She was like, why is your handwriting so small? Like she couldn't get it.
okay. Right.
So, and it was just, just to say that, we, of course, we all have this either thought, fear of feedback, or fear because of the unknown.
Yeah.
But it's how you grow, it's how you understand how you are perceived, and you are able to change that perception, and
Yeah.
you are able to work on yourself. Even if it's a negative one, it's not constructive, try to make it constructive. So if somebody tells you you're too loud, try to sit back and say, okay, and that's said to a lot of women who are very vocal and outspoken. If they say to you, you're too loud, sit back and say, what did that person actually mean? What situation was I in? How was I speaking and responding? And probably you will find out that you're not necessarily loud in volume, but maybe you're using too many words to get to your point. So could you try and train yourself to use less words to make the same point? So those are the things that you could train yourself to do in order to get better and get ahead and be taken
Mm-hmm.
seriously more so. And not everybody is going to respect you. You don't need everybody's respect, though.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is to be able to respect yourself enough to get better and reach your goals. Know that you are able to reach those goals. And then you will attract the people to you who are going to help you do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that, that counts for, I know there's not one formula for success or whatever, but there are
Yeah.
some principles that everybody could apply, that would work for anybody to some extent in wherever you are in the world.
Right.
Definitely. Definitely.
Definitely.
And in the meantime, shout out to Monique Minals, who said, I enjoyed listening. Thank you.
Uh, we enjoyed you being on the show. She actually, I happened to notice that she tuned in from the beginning. So
Oh, that's
thank you
cool.
so much for that. Miss Abba, I am
Yeah.
really happy that you were the first person that we had on the show. It's funny because you're the co-host, you're the host, and
Yeah.
also we had you as the subject on the subject of discovering your X factor and helping to use that for your business. So I
Yeah.
think rounding up, I would love to thank you for your insights on, I think one of the biggest things that a lot of women struggle with was
Mhm.
not knowing exactly when to decide what your X factor is. So stopping at the point where you didn't know, where you don't know how to call it, so therefore it doesn't qualify as an X factor. I think that is going to help a lot of women to
Yeah.
still pursue their dreams, because it's fine to figure out stuff along the way.
Yeah.
And also what I loved was your answer on who you surround yourself with. So your
Mhm.
friends, and especially the people who are able to teach you things specifically for your business, but also for the choices that you make in your personal life, which is very
Yeah.
important.
Very.
And I think thirdly, what I really liked is that in all your answers and in the journey that you've sketched out for us, is that you have stayed very true to yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that is one of the hardest things probably to do in the environment that we live in today. It's very
Absolutely.
difficult with all the social media influencing and triggers and people conditioning us as women, but also just as human beings to be something that we're just simply not.
Yeah.
be able to maintain consistently your voice
Yeah.
and your point of view. And I
Hmm.
really love that you were able to share with us how you got to where you are. And we're all going to be following your journey. We're all rooting for you. You're doing amazing things already, and I am just super proud and honored to be close to the action, so you can rub some of your goodness on me as well.
Well, the same here. They need to be on board with a very own skill of consultant, and the world is yet to see what's more coming from you. So that's it. I think this is a good collab, a healthy one, a strong one, an interesting one, and also one that will inspire a lot of people out there, a lot of women entrepreneurs specifically. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for the next episodes because Women About Business just not only once, it's gonna come back every first Sunday of every month.
you know it.
So thank you also so much, Kimberly, for doing this with me, and taking the time to chat. I believe this is just the start of many things. As every month we will also we will be engaging with other women who are bosses in their own rights and
Wow.
who will take their time to engage with us on this entrepreneur journey.
Yes.
um, well, we've reached the end of this segment or this show today, Africa Unfocused, and this is a special edition called Women About Business. Also, for those that are listening, Kimberly, people would like to hear where can they find you, where can they see you online, where can they spot your next move? Because you also said at the beginning this is actually the first time where you're like out there. People are
Girl,
longing
I'm
to
still
know more.
checking. No, yeah, so I mean, follow me on all socials. I think that's the best way to find me and follow what I'm doing and what is up. And that is at Ofori Kimberly. So that is at Ofori Kimberly.
Mhm.
And on I'm on Instagram, I am on Facebook, not so much on Twitter, though I do have an account. But you could follow me if you like.
You probably have to revive that account, like
I should probably do something about that.
uh,
And but if you want to, have a more constructive or longer conversation, or you'd like, some advice or anything, you can send me an email as well. That is at hello@kimberlyofori.com.
love that. And also, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow the show, Africa on Focus. We have our separate Facebook page. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. And of course, myself, you can follow me on Instagram. Look out for next week because then we will be back with another lockdown special. I have like such a special guest. Like I'm gonna announce it tomorrow. I'm so excited to even announce that she's gonna come. That I'm
Woo!
so excited that I'm like heavy breathing, exciting. She's like my sister in the business. She's like they always say like within your industry, you always have somebody that does what you do, but then on that up there level, and she is on that
Ooh,
up there level.
come on
Like
now.
she sings, I sing. She's out there was it connecting people in the diaspora? That is also what I do. So I'm like super excited to announce her interview. So we have some phenomenal people listed, and also Women About Business is on this. So I'm super excited for the content that we are bringing on to enrich, the African community the more. So make sure that you share this episode a lot on your timeline because the information is here to
Our
empower
level.
Africans,
Come on
right?
now.
Especially younger Africans to move on ahead and be the best at in all
Awesome.
places.
Thank you.
Evan is asking me who. You know exactly who. We will talk. So thanks again, everybody. A big God bless. Make sure you stay safe and healthy through the course of this week. Interesting times that we are in, but my prayer is that we, bounce back. We come back again next week for some new motivation and kick ass. I hope they don't bleed
Let's
this.
do it.
So thank you also, Kimberly. We will be connecting anyway and prepping for what's next to come. And
Definitely.
have a good night. And thanks so much.
Thank you too. All right.
All right. Bye bye.